Today I have Pat Brown with me and Pat owns Giga Systems. I've known Pat for like about a year now, I think, or maybe more even.
No,
something.
I've only been here for a little over a year. So
okay,
right at a
so
year.
about a year, and Pat is the picture person of computer stuff. He's the guy that if you have networks or computers or phone systems or anything like that, well, you have a whole list of things. But
yeah.
Before I get too far here, you were telling me that how you got started in this thing. How you were a computer guy.
Right.
Okay,
So in 1990, I started working at a computer store in Texas.
Okay.
And then in 1992, one of my customers hired me to do phone work. And
when phones started having computers stuff.
actually, I worked on the old school systems.
Oh, with the punch things and okay.
Yeah. And we worked on the bigger ones. We worked on primarily Rome, which is a brand Siemens bottom, and
I know Siemens, but not okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I know all the older stuff, and I can still fix a lot of that.
Okay. So if you have like an older phone system, it still sort of works. He can
Right.
give it some life.
Diagnose that. There's use parts that you can get still. So, or we can replace it with a modern voice over IP system or whatever you want.
Very, very cool. And then you were telling me that the thing that you really do a lot of or enjoy the most is networking.
Right.
And so what is networking for ungeek-like people like me?
Well, it means a lot of different things, and I'm kind of a jack of all trades, but for what we're talking about, networking is making two or more computers talk to each other.
Okay.
Whether that's just inside a building, I can make multiple offices look like one office, but the primary definition behind networking and networking support is that you have multiple computers that need access to the same set of data. And I can set that up for you, whether that's server-based or cloud-based. Or
A lot of people don't realize nowadays that, if you have a printer, in our studio we have 3 printers, and they're just like on the network. So any computer, any phone, any tablet, just
cameras,
wireless goes to,
yes.
They all talk to each other, and that's kind of important now. That way you don't, the days are gone where you used to have a cable coming out of the computer and plugging into the printer and things like that. Now it's all
It's all done across the network
magically.
or Wi-Fi. Yeah.
But to do it magically, you need a guy like Pat, because
Right.
it
Yeah.
gets a little complicated sometimes. And now something else that's like really huge now is camera systems.
Yes.
Is that and there's all scales of that now. So tell me a little bit about the things that you've done. And
Well, on camera systems, we do everything from, if you just want a couple of cameras in your office to make sure that this area is secure, all the way to out, on the outside of the buildings and stuff. And so we can, and the systems that we sell meet all the guidelines to be installed in government offices and things. There are rules. There are certain, there's the National Defense Authorization Act that passed in 2019 that says that they have to meet these certain specifications before they can be installed in like public utilities or government offices, things like that.
so you shouldn't be buying your cameras off of Walmart if you care about.
If you care about security, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's pretty interesting.
Several of your name brands have had all kinds of major network security flaws. And so some of those, people don't realize it, but they can hack into your camera. The camera's on your network, so now they're on your network and they can bounce off of your camera to try to get into other devices.
It's all connected.
It's all connected.
So security is more and more important. I mean, we know about, the viruses our computers and things get, but you don't think about that computers connected to the internet, that anybody, unless you're paying attention, can get in there and mess with your stuff.
Right.
So, and that leads me to antivirus software.
Right.
And virus scans or removal. So that's like a big deal.
It is a big deal, and that's actually changing. Antivirus is old school. What we have now is called endpoint detection and response.
Okay, don't know what that is.
Well, it's kind of like antivirus, but it's AI based. So it will look for patterns in, if something comes into your computer and makes changes, even though those changes look normal, if right after that it makes another set of changes that are also what independently they would be normal, but you put them together and it looks like something's happening, it will take a snapshot of where you are, so that if something bad does happen, you can go back to the snapshot before it happened.
Okay.
And be right back in business. And of course, nothing's 100%, but if you have good backups, between that and good backups, you should easily be able to recover.
I know a lot of it's the thing. I guess it's still a thing that what do you call it? The ransom, where they hold your computer for ransom and things like that. So you've got to protect yourself.
Well, you do. And ransomware is not just ransomware anymore. It's now ransomware with extortion.
Oh, great.
So what they're doing, they're hitting primarily like medical, doctors' offices and hospitals and things like that. They get the customers or the clients'
Get sensitive information.
HIPAA data, and then they threaten to release that if you don't pay up. So even if you have good backups and you can recover from the ransomware, you still have to pay the ransom, otherwise they're going to release all that data. So yeah,
it's better to not let them in the first place. There you go.
It is.
Very, very cool. Well, Pat, is there anything else that people need to know about their computers and networks and things like this that we haven't talked about?
So computers are, it's not as hard to secure them as people think it is. Nothing's 100%. When the hackers are getting into public utilities and the school districts, and they have teams of people that do this, so you can't stop it. So on a business level, I would say have good cybersecurity insurance, because it can and will happen. But you can reduce your risk greatly with some very simple things. One of the things that I do is I will come in and sit down with your employees and explain how some of these phishing attacks work. Because if you don't know how they work, then you're susceptible to getting hit. If you know the basics of how this works and what to look for, so you don't get caught off guard. I think close to 90% of all networks that get hacked through social engineering, which essentially means somebody calls you up, asks you for your password, and you give it to them. Now, you don't in some cases you don't even realize you gave it to them.
Pretty low tech, yes.
Well, no, but in some cases you don't realize you gave it to them. It may be like an email that came in where you log into the wrong website or something like that, but it ultimately boils down to is they asked for your password and you gave it to them. If you know how some of this stuff works, you can look for the signs that, hey, this is not legitimate, and you can prevent a lot of those. You can't prevent everything, but you can prevent a lot of them.
Just general knowledge of how this stuff works.
Exactly.
I mean, that works for like all scams, the elder scams and everything like that.
Does.
It's just to be aware.
And as a sideline, I do offer, and I do this for free, I've done it a couple of times and I'm doing it twice next month, is I will tell people how to help protect the elderly, because they're targeted, and it is one of my little pet peeves.
Bad deal. We've done a whole...
And I know I can't stop it, but maybe I can at least slow it down a little bit. So.
Awesome. Well, Pat, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Pat Brown with Giga Systems. Here's his number right here. Give him a call.
Thank you.